if they did well or not on their own straight away. I think that's key to making sure that they get the most out of their training. So when I first moved to the Broncos, this was the program I thought I'd roll out. Great starting point, your general guidelines for speed. You're looking at sort of 1 to 2 times a week getting your exposures in, that 150 to 300 metres a session volume. I still stand by the importance of that sort of 30 to 60 metres per rep. I think it's really important we sprint our athletes along that full spectrum. They get that acceleration, transition, and getting into upright running. And then also that adequate recovery, that adequate rest. When I got there though, what I quickly realised is that there are a lot of competing demands in our invasion field sports. Okay, so the coaches want their piece, the other S&Cs that I work closely with in the department are pulling the players' strings in different directions. It's the strength training, it's their conditioning elements. All of those components are sort of pulling away the players' energy levels and their time. So we've got to be really efficient with what we do. Just this next slide. Just won't get any photos of this one if you don't mind, just because this is some of our internal data. The other thing is, if you look back at these numbers in that general guideline, that 150 to 300 metres session volume, that would be like kind of up 90% to 10 because that's really dropping the hammer for all of that. But this is what an NRL player actually does in any 7-day period, at least this is our setting. So, if you think about it, if I was to roll some out for 150 metres of sprint volume in one session, for some of our positional groups, that would be more than they would normally do in a week in peak in-season demands. Now, that's not to say that it can't be done and there's not a time and place for it. Off-season, go for your life. You've got them sort of complete control over their program. That's where that stuff fits. But in-season training, we've got to understand what we're trying to prepare them for and expose them to the right amount of volume. We don't want to push them too far or leave them undershoot. So that's a key element in the background that I work closely with my sports scientists to make sure that we're giving guys the appropriate individual load. So everything for me now, because I can't just get them to go do 6 40-metre sprints, drop the hammer over and over and over again, I've realised that doesn't work. So what I do now is I break things up into components and then I drive KPIs that underpin those components. So first thing obviously is we want to develop speed. I look at, you can see in the philosophy that I put up before, those sub-qualities that underpin it. So your muscular strength and power, muscle tendon unit stiffness, which is independent of muscular strength and power, those coordinative elements, and then mobility, which I mentioned before. And then we look at what underpins each of those. What's a KPI that we can drive in that? So obviously the most important one and the simplest one, with speed, do they run fast? Split times, time engaged, GPS, whatever. That's easy. Strength and power, pretty easy again. Back squat, counter jump height. For me, in our program, we're very big on driving our reactive strength index in our program. We do it delicately, we make sure we're loading appropriately. Some individuals it's a KPI that we can push, some it's not so important. But that is something that we've got leaderboards up with, really driving that reactive strength index, where you do 30 centimetre drop jump. The coordination elements, that's where we get into your motion analysis, so getting the video camera out. It doesn't matter, well, it does matter, but there are different ways to approach that. We use ViewMotion. You can use some of those sort of third parties that use ViewMotion to analyse that stuff to a further degree, so SpeedWorks or Motion IQ, or you can do it yourself with your own sort of framework of things you're looking for. And then finally, that joint mobility, that's a big one for us. So we're regularly getting touch points with our players, we're working through table testing, we're getting our hands on the players to feel changes in their range of motion. Just some of the science that underpins some of the decision making that I make around my training. So really important that we actually sprint athletes. And this is why it's important that we don't just focus on those short acceleration sprints, particularly in large field invasion sport. Maybe in a court sport might not be as important where they're not necessarily sprinting, but in a sport like rugby league or AFL, it's really important that we give them an opportunity to really open up at the right times. And the reason for that is that if you look at, on this axis here, we've got a study that showed sort of a percentage of maximal voluntary contraction level in terms of EMG readings there, and then at a variety of different running speeds, what you'll see is that muscle contraction in the BF being biceps femoris and ST being semitendinosus. You can see that it's not really until you're up at above 95% of maximum velocity that you're going to get that full activation of those hamstring muscles. Okay, so just doing work, it's like doing your MAS running, you can do a shitload of volume there, get a heap of high-speed running, but it's not really going to prepare your players for that top-end speed effort. And then also, this research here sort of shows like those sweet spots for volume. This is sort of a general one. I've got individualised ones for each player in my squad. So we look back historically at what they've all been able to tolerate. But as some general guidelines, here we've got risk of injury. And then on this other axis here, we've got sprint efforts per week. Okay, so this is the number of exposures. I think in this study it might have been above 7 metres per second. And what you can see, we've got sort of like this inverse relationship, this curvilinear sort of relationship here. You can underdo your athlete. They can be underprepared. You cannot expose them to enough fast running. Okay? We don't want to get caught there because our risk of injury gets high. The players aren't familiar with doing it. They're not robust and resilient. They're not ready for it. And at the opposite end of the spectrum, you can overcook them. So what we're looking for is trying to manage that sweet spot in the middle. And we work very carefully, week in, week out, making sure that we're managing those loads and trying to keep them as stable as possible. Last bit of research I'll show you here that sort of underpins some of the speed programming stuff we do is around where we place our speed work in the program. Now, I imagine traditionally, and I'm the same, a lot of you guys are probably going on a 7-day training week, we're probably doing speed early in the week, but far enough after the game they're recovered, right? So you play Saturday, you're probably doing speed on Tuesday, generally speaking. But what we now know is you look at some of this research from Martin Boucher, and we've actually changed our approach in the back of this. He did a huge study looking at a bunch of European football players, different sport, the context is slightly different. But what they found was if you look at the day of the week where players run the fastest or they get that above 95% exposure top speed, you've got no exposure, game day -1, game day -2, and then game day -3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 are all clumped together in that D-3. What you'll find is on this big player pool here, that in this study, they found that a rate of around 6 per 1,000 hamstring strain injuries when you did your speed earlier in the week, further away from the game. But in this study, they had not a single hamstring strain when players sprinted that fast closer to game day, which is a little bit counterintuitive to me, and it really changed my approach to how I thought about things. And we don't actually train on a game day -2 generally, but what we do now is we used to do it on a game day -3. We used to do our speed on a -4. Now we do it on -3. And what we feel that does is allows our players to be a little fresher going into it. We train on that -4. If someone runs fast on that -4 just in football, we can change what we're going to do on the -3. Whereas if you do it on the -4 and someone runs fast in your football on the back of already doing speed work, you might be at an increased risk of having someone hurt themselves there. But also you potentially get a bit of a potentiating or priming effect doing that a little bit later back into the week. And this was in a cohort of 620 players across 5,000 training sessions. So they had over 150 hamstring injuries in that player pool. So it's not just a small data set you're looking at there, it's a big picture. This is our own data, please don't take any pictures of this one. So 2022, I wasn't as great at my job as I am now. We had 19 missed games with hamstring injuries. Among other things, one of the big things we changed is where we did our speed. We had 2 games missed, and that's a fun stat that I can negotiate my next contract on. So, in a minute, we're going to go into the practical stuff. This is sort of the flow, just to give you a bit of a sense. What I want to show you is how I prep players for speed. We'll spend a fair bit of time on the prefabs and then the drilling stuff, and then we might be able to get a chance at the back end to see some people sprint. Last thing I want to bring your attention to is, I've mentioned like mobility, joint mobility, flexibility. Interchangeable terms, I'm not going to debate the semantics of it, but I just want to show you why it's a big thing for me, and also want to show you why I use the strategy that I use. So, first and foremost, just a simple 7-degree change in anterior pelvic tilt increases the passive tension on the hamstrings by 32%. That's a big number. If you think about just that little bit of tilt, just that little bit of duck ass there, you're taking those hamstrings at a significantly greater amount of stretch. Okay? And what that does is it takes those hamstrings away from their optimal length to produce force. Every muscle has an optimal length to produce maximal force. And the other thing it does is it then takes you to that end range where your risk of injury is going to increase. So for me, it is key that we give our players the best chance possible to be able to run with their pelvis in a neutral position from both a performance perspective and an injury perspective. The other part to it here is the intervention that I like to use. So there's all sorts of different types of stretching. I think static stretching has probably gone a bit out of fashion. I don't use a heap of static stretching, we do a bit, but what I've really started to focus on with my players now is actually proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation, so P&F stretching. If anyone's unfamiliar with that, that's your partner type work where you're doing contract, relax, take them into further range of motion. Okay, so I'm going to show you some of the stuff that we do there. And what you can see is with this study here, just a 4-week training intervention doing static stretching, you do get an increase of around 7% in hip extension range of motion, but P&F stretching significantly more. And that's what I'm looking for. I want to see big changes over time. Okay, so I'll show you some of that stuff in a minute. That's kind of like the theory and slides. Is there any questions about some of the stuff that we've just gone through quickly there before we get into seeing people move and how we coach stuff? All right, let's talk.
Do you separate your acceleration and your max velocity work days, or do you do it all on one day?
Yeah, I mean, at times I've done both, and it really depends on turnarounds and things like that in our environment. So short turnaround, we might make a hybrid session, we'll get all qualities together. On a 7-day turnaround, we'll normally have like an acceleration and agility day as our first sort of proper training day of the week. We'll kind of combine those elements. And then our second training day of the week will be more open linear max velocity exposures. That's generally how I'll do it, but I'm not going to say there's a right or a wrong answer. Yes?
From a biomechanical point of view, so you use emotion to enhance its skills. What are the metrics that you usually pick up?
Yep. So the question there, if you didn't hear it, was around view motion and what sort of metrics we look at. So generally, from a technical perspective, the main things that I want my players to get better at, I use simple language, so simple sort of angle that view motion is going to give you data on. The second one I look at is the thigh separation angle, or thigh split. I would say thigh splits for players. And again, that's something that we can measure. And then the last one I look at is what I call like a piston action of the legs, which is more that thigh angular velocity, so that closing speed. They're the ones that I think the players understand the best. So I can really use one of them as like a cue, particularly in sprint acceleration. And to be honest, in our setting, I haven't spent a heap of time on upright sprint analysis with view motion. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to talk too much to that because, yeah, it's not really something we do a lot of regularly.
Do you focus much on the ground contact time?
Pardon?
Do you focus much on the ground contact?
Well, yeah, so do I focus on the ground contact time? That's a byproduct of doing the other technical stuff well. For me, if I start cueing someone to get on and off the ground faster, I think it's actually going to compromise a lot of the other things that are happening, all right? So getting on and off the ground quickly is a byproduct of getting into a good position and applying a lot of force rapidly. So I generally won't like cue or coach that specifically. Yeah, that's a good question though. Thomas?
Just something in terms of your model about where you put your speed stuff.
Yep.
So like obviously probably a more traditional model is have your speed stuff before a lot of your team-based stuff. Whereas I, went to a presentation with Nick one week, and they, at the TARS, they do a lot of their speed post, a lot of their team-based stuff, found like their outputs were, they were able to hit higher percentage of max velocity quicker and weren't having to spend so much time building to it. Is it with you guys, are you putting it at the start of that match day -3, or is it at the back end of after your team stuff?
Yeah, no, I put it at the start. It's our warm-up for the session. Yep, that's just how we do it, and yeah, at the moment that's working really well for us. Yeah. All right, fun stuff. We'll go do some practical. So what we're going to do is Geordie's identified a few people who are going to participate in the practical. The thing about practicals with this many numbers is it would just be chaos. I wouldn't be able to actually help you guys understand what we're doing. So we're just going to have, I think, about 5 participants come forward. Those folks will know who they are. So I'm might just get you to come over here. And then the rest of us, I want you to, if you want, go for your life, take as many videos as possible, take it all in, ask questions, and we'll go through all that stuff as we go. So my 5 participants, just come on over here for me. Excellent.
Yeah, you're going to be cooked after this. We're all fighting for silver now.
Right, so just for this first element, what we're actually going to do is we're going to head down towards this dumbbell, right? I want to show you that P&F stretching that we're going to start off with. So I get my participants to come down. And I'm getting all of you sort of spread yourselves around your head. Some of you all the way down to this rally here. Move all the way around. Right, so P&F stretching. I do this before I get my players to run fast. Is it optimal to stretch hard before you sprint? You read the research and it tells you no. But it's not necessarily about what's optimal, it's about what fits well in the program. So this is where it fits best in my program. It allows me to do it consistently. We're going to do some P&F stretching. I've only ever heard one story of someone rupturing their quad doing this, so hopefully we don't end up with a second. What we're going to do is we're going to do this in pairs. I'll probably get Brendo to do it first. How's your knee going, bro? Good. Excellent. Alright, so I'll do a demo on Brendan, and then I'll get you guys to pair up and you get to inflict pain on each other, which is fantastic. What you're going to do for me, mate, is you're going to get yourself set up in this sort of position here. You might just bring that bench to the That's about it. Now, the position we're looking for here is a vertical shin, okay? It's important that your players are focusing on that sort of posterior tilt, so thinking about drawing their belt buckle up, and they're just going to get nice and comfortable here, right? What I want you to try and avoid doing, if you're being stretched here, is sort of caving and dropping your upper body. I want you to try and keep your chest up. So just hop in that position for me. Bring your knee a little further back so you're not sort of in that crap there. Cool. Alright, your life's about to get really uncomfortable. So, what we do now is we just gradually apply some body weight through the hips, okay? How you doing there, mate? Yeah, alright. Excellent. Good answer. Alright, so you think that hurts, it's about to get worse. Next thing here, we're just going to bring him up into knee flexion. Now the great thing about this stretch is that we're targeting that rect fem, which is a biarticular muscle. Okay, so it works across two joints. If you've got a tight rect fem, it could be sort of the knee dominant area where you get that tightness from. So we want to try and take that through full stretch. What I want you to do for me, Brendan, is push against my hands, like try and extend your knee for 3 seconds hard. 3, 2, take a big deep breath and relax. Nice, mate. Oh, I'm going to crank him right up. You've got some pretty good range here, mate. It's good. Alright, we're going to go again. We're going to push for 3, 2, take a big deep breath and relax. Cool. I'm just going to lean back on you. Get your heel right in my guts, and you're going to push again for 3, 2, big deep breath and relax. Oh, thanks, mate. That's a really good demo. Well done. Swap legs.
See how the righty goes.
Alright, so vertical shin, trying to keep our chest up. What I might do actually, Brendan, just hop up for a second. You might get your knee on this bit of the bench. I think it might actually work a little better. Yeah, good. Cool. Might be able to get those hips a little bit lower this time as well. Alright, so with this, you gradually apply body weight, don't jump on them. Alright, I'll squeal later. Give them a chance to feel the position, and then we're going to gradually, everything's slow and steady with this one, alright? Let them, like, you just work them until they really will let you know. I'll say that's enough. Yeah, that's good, alright. Push in for 3, 2, big deep breath and relax. We'll take you a little further. This range is pretty good too. So I'll do this with all of my players at least once a week, if not twice. Go again, 3, 2, big deep breath and relax. And by getting hands on, I can actually feel changes in their range of motion with this. Right, so like a Reece Walsh after off season, he was way back here, but now I've got his heel right in my guts and I'm leaning right back. Push for 3, 2, big deep breath and relax.
So you're doing this before you go on field for speed work?
Yep, pre-speed. So the flow of what we'll do today is the flow of what I'll do for speed. So you'll get a sense of all that. All right, you guys, we'll get you paired up and I'll get your question one sec. Yep, let's go. Don't be shy, you're doing it to each other, so I actually take my players on how to do this and they do it to each other. Okay?
Give it a go.
Is this part of the
Yeah, so good question. I want their weight applied through the sort of axis of rotation of the hip. Okay, so sitting on like the upper glute. All right, that's where the partner's going to sit. That's it. Bring him up.
Ready?
So sit a bit high. I need you probably in the longest line here, I reckon. Yeah. Actually, even longer. We might move your bench a little further back.
Too much? Ah, that's right. Yep.
Cool. All right, grab his leg. Oh, don't be shy. Grab his leg. Yeah, there we go. Good. Cool. Grab his leg.
Nick, are you coaching Kiely like trying to almost like keep a neutral balance?
Yes. They'll pop up and through. Yeah.
Sit back.
You get a lot of guys will just arch it over the spine, so it's constantly coaching. All right, we're pushing for 3, 2, big deep breath, breathe out and relax, sink into it. Now the thing about PNF stretching is after each contract relax, they're going to find range, so you take them a little further. Take them a little further until they swivel. Yeah, and what you'll find is they'll feel really tight, but they might actually have a fair bit more range than they think, or than you think. Okay, so they'll often go further than you think. Right, we're going to push for 3, 2, big deep breath, relax. Take it further.
Push.
3. Nice. Alright, so I'll generally do 3-second PNF pushes with this on each side. Flip it over. Sorry, did somebody have a question that I cut off? Cool. Yeah, cool. Yep, swap legs.
One set.
Yep, one set's generally enough.
Good.
There might be some case studies with particular players where I get a second set where we've identified that having tight rec fems is an issue for them in terms of being able to get that sort of level of stability. Righto. So once you find that position, we're going to push for 3, 2, big deep breath, breathe out, relax, sink those hips. I'll probably try and get your hands up on the top row of dumbbells. Unlucky. And we go again, push for 3, 2, deep breath, breathe out, relax. Good, keep focus on trying to drop your hips down towards the ground. Last one, push it for 3, 2, big deep breath, and relax. Alright, slowly let them off the stretch, and it's payback time, you're going to swap over. So the contract, the push there, probably about 85% intensity that you're looking for on that, okay?
Yeah, I've had athletes say when they do sprinting that everyone's always saying, oh my quads.
Yep.
And that's
Yeah, so I think a lot of the quad stretching that we tend to do, or the hip flexor stretching that we tend to do, it's like uni joint focused. So that rec fem, remember, bi-articulate crosses the hip and knee joint. Okay, so this is a really good stretch for both joints at the same time. Grab a leg, take them up into flexion.
Probably go deeper into the hip.
Alright, let's start here. Righto, push for 3, 2, deep breath, and relax.
Big breath.
Good. Just be careful with this. You just make sure your players are adjusting the benches and that for their limb length so they don't slip off the bench. Go again, push it for 3, 2, deep breath and relax. Take them a little further. Last one. Push it for 3, 2, deep breath and relax.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, of course. Slowly let them off there.
Before you mentioned about like the double tilt and out and have more strength and strength.
Yep.
I don't know why they're doing the speed. Okay, the kind of low position.
Yeah, it's a good question. So that question, if you didn't hear it, was would I be concerned about sort of like feeding into lordotic posture, which you've seen a little bit of here. I reckon these guys, because they're very new to it, I'm probably not going to coach that out of them just yet because it's pretty unfamiliar. But once players are more familiar with it, I've got less tolerance for some of that lordosis that you see in here. But I also think that one stretch is just one component of the program. We do a shitload of other stuff where we really focus on that neutral pelvis. We're going to push for 3, 2, big deep breath, and relax. Good. Just keep focusing on sort of sinking your hips down towards the ground. Take them a little further into it. Going again, push it for 3. Relax. Yeah, I mean, you just tell them 80 to 90% like push intensity. I don't need you, it's not a 1 RM. Yeah. Just enough to, yeah.
Yeah, when you're ready.
Create that sort of that neurological change, it creates that range. Good question, don't answer that. Sorry. Doesn't make a change, I'll tell you that much. Excellent, right, okay, cool. What we're going to do now is we'll just all push back. We'll maintain this shape. We'll get everyone behind the hurdle, hand hurdle. Yeah, I'll explain that to everyone. Keep my participants here. Right, so 2 little questions there as well. Thomas, who's trying to make himself look really tall over here, asked me how long we allocate for that. So the way I'll do it is we have sort of 2 prep blocks pre-filled. We'll do 8 minutes of like our A block and then probably 6 minutes of our B block. The 8-minute block, we're going to do a half-half split with the players. Half will do that P&S stretch, and the other half we're going to do the dynamic warm-up that these guys are about to do for us. Then they'll swap, okay? It's not perfect, it's not ideal, but it's about logistically getting through this content. And then we get to our B circuit, which is the prefabs that I'll show you in a minute. All right, what I'll get you guys to do is we might go 2 twos down the end here. Yeah, let's just get in pairs for 1 month. Alright, so big work on for me in the last 12 months has been able to bring more energy to our warm-ups because this stuff's pretty boring for a football player who does it every week. So what we're going to do here is let's try and think about logistically. This might work a little bit better if I pull these over. Just create a little bit of space. So traditionally what I used to do with a dynamic warm-up is you do all the stuff you're going to see here, but it would be done quite slow. But what we're going to do today is a really up-tempo dynamic warm-up. So first thing you got, classic hamstring sweeps. What I don't want to see is any walking and any sort of like passiveness throughout. It's all on the bounce, right? So we're getting nice and moving for me. 10 metres of that one for me, gents. Off you go. Let's go. Let's get going. Give them 2 or 3 metres and then pull that through. Yep.
Nice, Brando.
We got 2 rounds of that, so when you get to the end, turn around and come back as well. That's it, shoot the chickens. That's the key there. That's Alright, so all I want you to focus on here is just the energy and tension behind this. The content doesn't actually really matter. Next one here, we're going to go into a sprinter's lunge. Alright, so what you're looking for here, driving up and through, give you that little hip lock at the top, hands working face cheek to butt cheek, turn off the other, no steps in between, foot to rep. Stay nice and tall, eyes up, looking up over the horizon. Give me that little sort of hover at the top, little pause. Good, punch that knee up through the ceiling. That's just one arm action on the way up and through, not 2. Same thing on the way back. Good, so like I mentioned before, we've got half the squad doing this, half the squad's doing the hip flexor stretch, okay? Good, more intent on the way. We punch and drive up and through. Try and get warm here, just go through the motions, alright? Next one, we've got a coordination challenge for you. There's 4 parts here. We're going to go high kick, arabesque, spindle, and hip lock, alright? So I'll say reach and come up and through. Off you go, one more time. High kick, arabesque, Spindle and hip block on the way through. Off you go. Good.
Look like you're dancing.
That's it. So mobilising joints across all sorts of different planes of motion here.
Hello, Phelpsy.
That's what I'm saying, yeah, free. Stance leg will be your hands and reaches there, okay? Stance leg is your reaching. We'll just go to that extra single time here. Wait, what are you doing? Come back to your reps! You're just like my boys, eh? Don't fucking take shortcuts. Right, next one here, we're going to just go to like a little hip rip up, but it's on the bounce, so you've got 3 hops in between each one, so we're here. 1, 2, 3, and you can switch. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we're on the move, okay? You're not just going through the motions. Off you go. On the hop. Good. You take a couple of steps in between on that one. Good. Right, next one we're kicking the door down. So give me that B skip. Nice high release, toes to nose. Just rhythmical here. I don't really care about this as a sprint drill, this is just a warm up for your hammies. Off you go. Kick the door down, nice high release, rip down and back. Good, so for me there's some things that are sprint drills and there's other things that I don't really care too much about that. That's not something that I'm really getting coached a lot of, so it's just a warm up for me there. Next one we'll just go little low ankle skips. Alright, little low ankle skips for me, just get a little pop, off you go. Just warming up your ankles. Beautiful. Righto. So that's all general stuff for me, okay? Now we're going to specific. So my 2 rotations are flipped over, they've both done that. Then we're going to go into 3 rotations. I'm just going to clear this wall here. Thanks, mate. Alright, so all we'll do is I'll take you all through this for 1 round, and then you can do a second round, split up a little bit. All these drills here are going to target a variety of elements that I want to overload and strengthen as sort of qualities that underpin good running. So the main things I'm looking at are going to be ankle stiffness qualities. We're looking at that lumbo-pelvic control. In Lockie's presentation, he spoke about like the role of the trunk. This is probably, from a strength perspective, the most undervalued area, particularly when it's done with the right intention. I think you can make some good changes that are really going to underpin better running. So that hip lock, everyone's heard of hip lock. I think it's often a little bit misunderstood too. So that hip lock, like why do we want a hip lock? So that hip lock, what we know about the pelvis is it works best in probably 1 plane of motion at a time. So if you get a good hip lock, you get that free hip high, you actually sort of block it off from being able to dump into that anterior pelvic tilt. So we're looking for that good hip lock in mid stance at top speed and at toe off in acceleration, okay, or change of direction. So we're looking for stuff that's going to feed into a good hip lock, that lumbo-pelvic control, which we spoke about. Trunk stiffness as well, which is linked into that. That's a big key one for me, all right? And then the other part of it too is just getting those players familiar and strong in like those key positions. So, for instance, one of the things we spoke about with like view motion is that thigh split or that body length. So can we familiarise the players with some of that stuff? I'll show you a few examples of just some exercises that might fit in the library. Okay, so the first one we're going to do here is 2 taps on the wall. This works really good with like a rugby league ball because it adds like an extra layer of perturbation to it. The reason we do 2 taps is it adds some time pressure. Time pressure increases like co-contractions, makes you activate your muscles faster, more rapidly. You get that strong isometric contraction which sets you up in a nice stable base to produce force. What are you going to do for this one? You guys better be paying attention. You're going to start probably just outside of arm's length away from the wall. You're in a 2-point stance, you're loaded up. Your first movement is at the wall, okay? And then your second is up the wall. And what we want to do is those 2 tied together as quickly as possible. So at, up and over. And then we're going to hold for 2. Always hold for 2. Hold for 2 is a really good sort of framing point for any of these things where you're trying to hit positions. Okay, it's just enough to get some feedback on whether you're in a good position or if you're not, okay? So, I've got 3 balls here, so 3 can go while 2 rest. We're going to do 6 each side, 6 each side. Just outside arm's length, 2-point stance. Get nice and low, get nice and loaded, 1 tap, and then overhead. Good. Nice long arms. The goal's here, and reach as high up the wall as you can on that second tap. And hold for 2. Punch that thing up and through. Want to make sure we finish with that ankle dorsal flexion, knee up, toe up. Good, good. That's a really good rep down here. Good. As you get more familiar and more comfortable with it, I'm going to ask the players to start further back. And I'm going to ask them to aim higher up the wall. So, it's about trying to find things that create a challenge point. I want them balancing on a 3-legged chair, okay? There's got to be a little bit of a risk of this going wrong. That added time pressure, that distance pressure. In the back of your mind when you do this, you think, you know what, there's a bit of a chance if I don't get this right, I'm going to face plant into the wall. I haven't seen it happen yet, but just having that in the back of your mind gets your intent level a lot higher, and it gets a lot more engagement out of the players. Because I think often, like, we can whack mini bands on people, but how much intent do you get out of someone doing these bad boys? Does it actually make you a better sprinter? Probably not. Is there much focus or intention behind it? Probably not. But this, like, you tell me that you do this well, you're not activating your glutes? Of course you are. Good. So if you're hitting positions, you're doing it well, take that little 1-inch step back, challenge point. Good. At the wall, up the wall. Yeah, good. So you see that? I want that. I want that. That risk of failure, if you've got like 15 to 30% risk of failure, you're in that sweet spot for motor learning. If they can get every rep right, you're not challenging them. You go above 30% and they're going to lose interest because it's just too difficult. 6 each side there? Yep. I'm going to have to trust you there. Righto. Any questions on that particular drill?
What's your exact prescription on that? Just 6?
That's my starting point, yeah. A lot of this stuff, I'll generally just do 2 sets of 6 each side. Yeah, just give us a little bit of space here. Next one, so we're going to work through some more hip lock based stuff. Like we said, it's about that free hip being high. So if it's my swing leg, my free hip, that needs to be high, and I'm going to look for that and coach that and cue that. On our stance leg, we're going to try and reach as high as we can as well. This one, we're just going to try and do 3 foot contacts between each hurdle. So as a demo, we're just here, all right? So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. All right? What we're looking for here, there's that time pressure. You've only got 3 contacts. You've got to get moving. Again, increase that level of intention. That hurdle, I mean, in my gym, I'd put up like agility poles because otherwise they'll fucking cheat. So the other part is making sure that free hip gets high because the foot's got to get over the hurdle. So I'll get you guys to go through twice, that'll be 1 set. 1, 2, 3. No, that's more than 3. You've only got 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1. How much harder was that when you only had 3? Yeah, good. All right. Like I'm saying, time pressure. All right. You're allowed to jump over the hurdle. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Keep both hands up. Keep both up. Keep both hands up.
Oh, okay, right.
But it's about the stance leg hand being really high. Hey. Just one sec, just a good point. What happened here?
Did get it high up?
You knocked a hurdle over. So, was there a risk of failure in that drill?
Yep.
100%. So, that's what we need. We need more of that now. Prep, a risk of failure. A chance that you might fuck it up. Let's go again. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Yep, next down. Let's go. Just keep rolling through now. Once you pick up the hurdles you knock over, we'll keep rolling through. You go all the way down? Yeah. Oh, Brendo. Brendo. We go through it twice.
That's clinical.
That was 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 0, 0. I don't know what happened there. Okay, so it's all about that pressure. To be honest, you don't need high hurdles for this. That's probably right about as high as I would go, even with my boys who have been doing this more regularly. Now, when you get to the second rep of this, haven't had a chance to fail, you've learned. You know better. Well, most will. They'll learn how to figure out their movement strategy and how to coordinate the pattern. This is where that motor learning is happening by itself. I don't have to tell them what to do. Alright? We've increased the focus, the intent. There's more compliance. Good. Is that twice for everyone? Excellent. Cool. Alright, so that might be drill 2 in my rotation. We're all going to look this way. We're coming over here. Last exercise here is like a hip extension exercise. The question I get asked about this one is, doesn't this encourage backside running mechanics? There's nothing wrong with backside running mechanics if you own and control your lumbo-pelvic position. Okay, so if you keep your pelvis neutral, there's nothing wrong with being long at the back. And that's what this does. It encourages you to get good hip extension. And I mean, talking about glute activation is way better than mini bands if you ask me. What are you going to do here? Set yourselves up in a rack with a power band. It's really good with this sort of rack where they've got something to grab onto down the end here. We've just got this sitting through our hips. Grab it on. You're in that same 2-point stance that we had against the wall. And from here, our intention is to rip our hips up and through, get tall, and hold for 2. 1, 2. Come back down. 1, 2. All right, my goal is to get my hips up and through. This band's pretty strong, so it's a really good activation exercise. 1, 2. 1, 2. Okay? 6 each side. Off you go, gentlemen. I've got 3 set up here. So for me as a coach, I'm looking for those hips coming through. I want their eyes up, looking up over the horizon. Go inside the rack. Go inside, that's probably the, you want to be able to sort of pull yourself up and through. 2-point stance. Use your hands. They're okay, they can help, that's good. Push that knee up and through. You've got to get those hips forward. Hips forward. Get those hips through the wall in front. Finish with your eyes up. Eyes up. Need you to get your toe up. Get that foot into ankle dorsiflexion. Good. You guys holding for 2 or what? Brendo, you can probably get taller to finish, I reckon. Wow. Get up and through. Actually, I want you to think of this as an upright running mechanics exercise more than acceleration. It's not about projecting everything forward, it's about getting your hips up and through. It's that backside at top speed with good lumbo-pelvic control. 6 each side. You're in there for ages. How many reps do you do? 6. Excellent. Eyes up, looking up over the horizon. Why don't I start a fraction further back with your foot? Yep. Very nice. That's a good rep here. See how we get our hips through? The trunk is getting more vertical in the finishing position. Ideally, we probably want completely vertical trunk to finish. Yeah, nice. Very good. Good. I hope something that you're noticing too is that this isn't just exercise prescription, it's coaching. So for me, a really important part is you've got to coach this stuff hard. And we'll see it too when we do our running mechanics. I think a trap that a lot of younger S&C coaches get caught in when they deliver speed content is they go, we're going to go do the ace skips for 10 metres, off you go. What if they're, like, what are you trying to get out of it? What's the goal? What's the intention? What am I looking for here? If I say I want you to get your trunk up and tall, and I see someone not doing it, you've got to coach them, you've got to call them out on it as quickly as possible. All right? We're going to do a second round of those 3 exercises. On the wall, you don't all start on the same one, so maybe 1 or 2 of you stay here. We're going to go aquabag overhead on the hurdles. Good luck. On the wall, you're going to start a little bit further back. Right, I think one more round. We're going to rotate from the wall to the hurdles, to the banded Yuri here, back to the wall. You've got 1 set on each exercise. Off you go. You float around. Start further back. Good. If you haven't felt like you're about to face plant, you're not doing it properly. Yeah, arms overhead. So with that aquabag now, you're really going to control and stabilise those co-contractions through the trunk. You're going to be through the roof here. Brandon, that is a great demo. There's the demo. Good. Actually, you're leading that knee coming up and through. I want you to drive that knee up and through quick. So at the moment, they're sort of delaying and they're kind of going here. And then the knees come through that first tap and your knee up on the first tap. So from the wall we're here. Good. You only got 3 contacts to work with, alright? One, two, three, 4. So something like this, I would just pick out individual athletes who are just bossing it without the aqua bag. I go, all right, it's your turn to do it with the aqua bag. They'll have a whinge at me and I'll say, too bad, you didn't pay to do this, off you go.
I'll differentiate myself and do it without the bag. Or am I doing that?
Have a crack.
This will be fun.
So I need you to try and find that reach. Get high up the wall. Good, that's a better rep. Yeah, nice. Hey, what did we say? 15 to 30% risk of failure. You hit exactly what we wanted there. That's the sweet spot for learning. Good stuff. Let's go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1. Yeah, there we go. Again, that's what I want. I want them to knock one hurdle over. That tells me the challenge point is appropriate. And 2 rounds through. 2 rounds through makes 1 set here. Yes. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Jump. Jump to get over. Jump. Yeah, there we go. Jump. Oh. Good. There we go. Nice one. That's Brenda. Right. How close to the face of the enemy? Yeah. Not close enough. Good. Further away. Good. Try and get on and off quick. Time pressure. On and off quick on that first tap. Then hold for 2. Good. 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 Now, the other thing about all this stuff here is all this prep, I can do it in the gym, in my setting. So I'm talking about my environment. That means I've now just got myself 20 minutes extra for speed. That's phantom time that the coaches aren't looking at their watch. Phantom time is money, all right? So whenever you get an opportunity to do stuff in the gym as prep, before the coaches start looking at their clock, you've got to use it. That's golden time, all right? And get the most out of it. That's why there is no fluff here. There's no glute mini bands. There's no low-level extensive for me. I don't do a lot of extensive stuff. I think it's a waste of time. I want something that's going to move the needle and drive a KPI. Excellent work. So, now what you're going to do, head over to the nerds, the sports scientists, grab your GPS units, put your boots on. You've got 2 minutes to do that, and then we're going to roll out onto the football field. So, if you wouldn't mind, maybe just pull those hurdles out of the way. And we're going to start our drilling. So we're going to just be behind this line here. Just make sure you're in a position where you can see all the drilling. We're going to use the track here. Yeah, we're on the field now. Players got their boots on, GPS units on. I've got 12 minutes of speed, all right? So what you're about to see here, we take too long on that. We're going to explain it here. What we're looking at is the content that we're going to deliver in 12, maybe 15 minutes max, all right? So, first and foremost, we're going to go through some A drilling progressions. Everyone knows A drilling. Everyone knows what it is, why you do it. I want to show you how I do it, okay? And the how is all about the intention and what you get out of it. Right, so with my A drilling, I'm going to start off with a single exchange, a single switch. Just give the players a chance to familiarise themselves with the position. But because it's single switch, there's not a lot of time pressure going on, so we're going to add some perturbations and some chaos and some overload with the aqua bags. We're going overhead with the aqua bag, and what we're looking for here is a single switch and hold. Single switch and hold. Alright? This is really basic stuff. You've probably all seen it done before, but hopefully you get something out of how it's done. So, off we go. We're working through 10 metres. Jump and switch in the air, give yourself a little bit of air flow. Good, knee up, toe up. Thigh to parallel. Jump and switch in the air. We'll hand off the aqua bag and we're just coming straight back down the other end. Good. stuff is players that are rushing it down the end. Alright, so there's too much of the horizontal translation to the vertical drill. Should feel really bouncy for me. You get out there. So, that's sort of just an opportunity to look at how the drill's done. How well we coach this in a group setting. I'm going to show you that now. And what I always do with big groups, we waterfall everything. If you're speed coaching, you have no chance of getting bull rushed by 4, 5, 6 athletes at once. I only want one player working at a time until they get to 3, 4, 5 metres. I'll have a chance to look, coach, cue, correct, next player goes. Alright? So what we're going to do here is a triple, 1, 2, 3, stick and hold. So same sort of thing. Alright, 1, 2, 3, stick and hold. 1, 2, 3, stick and hold. Now what you can do here, trick for me, when we did our hurdles here, the alley after that, you remember what we were focusing on with our hands? Stance, hand, wide. I want you to try and exaggerate that for me, okay? We want long and fully extended through the stance leg, and then we want to crunch and shorten that free hip, okay? That's the hip lock. So I want you to try and do that down to back of one. Okay, 1, 2, 3, stick. Right up. Good, nice and bouncy. I want to feel you bouncy. I want to hear the water bounce. Good. I reckon I can probably coach 2 players at once tops when it comes to speed. So I never really want more than 2 people actually doing a drill at any time. While I normally do this logistically, probably get 4 to 8 players lined up. Alright, I'm setting them off in waves. Okay? Alright, well done. You can lose the aqua bags. You don't have to touch them again today. They're dead. Alright? Right, we're going to add some rhythm. Try to get a bit more for me now. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 3, 1, 2, 3, 3. So like a triple exchange. Cues for you here. Feel bouncy. I need you to feel bouncy. I need you to feel like you're getting something out of the air. I want to jolt from the ground every time. Okay, we're going to bring our arm action into it this time. And this is just going to look like this for me, alright? So now top, fight a parallel. Think about 3 buckets. 1 on your head, 1 on your knee, 1 on your toe. Don't lose any water out of any of them. Hips up and through. 1, 2, 3, 3. Okay? And what you'll notice is I'm not in a rush to cover that 10 metres. It's almost in place. We'll get you 2 to go together, like a crash field pace. Don't overtake me here. You're in first gear, you're at walking pace. Little double bounce. 1, 2, 3, 3. Yeah, there you go. 1, 2, 3, 3, 1, 2, 3, 3, 3. 1, 2, 3, 3, 1, 2, 3. Good. Next 2, let's go. Coming back. Don't overtake me. Good. Good. That's alright, I don't mind, that's okay. The only time I'll pull someone up and send them back is if they don't understand what I've asked them to do. If someone knows what they're trying to do and they get it wrong, but then they can kind of correct themselves and they're on the journey of figuring it out, just let them go. If someone's got it completely wrong, stop, go back, this minute, start again, so you've actually got to understand. Okay, last one here. We're going to do an A skip. Now, I get on a high horse about A skips because I like them done a certain way. And the way I like them done promotes that hip lock that we've spoken about, the importance of it. So your traditional A skip, and this is what every young SNC will roll out, looks like this. Okay? What's this making me better at? Like for me, not much, okay? I want some time pressure. I want something on the line a little bit here, okay? I want the ground coming back at you. So for me, what I look for is a switch in the air, okay? So it's more like an A-skip switch. For me, that's gonna look like this. But what you'll notice is that at no time do I have 2 feet on the ground simultaneously. That more traditional one, you've got that change on the ground, okay? You've got 2 feet on the ground. I've seen other really fantastic speed coaches coach like that, and that's okay, it doesn't make it wrong, it's just not the way I do it, okay? So, we're looking for that skip with the switch, Off we go. Don't overtake me. Now you're gonna jump and switch in the air. Jump and switch, put your hands and hips. You don't, keep going. Good. So I took his hands out of that because he started doing same arm, same leg, and I threw up in my mouth, so I just didn't want to look at it anymore. More jump and switch, more jump. Good.
How much do you coach? How much do you
much arm movement, not a great deal. Team field sports, I'm going to progress a lot of this stuff, we're not going through that today, to upper body disassociation type movements, taking the others away, doing other things with their arms. We need to be good runners down here while our upper body does other things. As long as they've got a general flow and rhythm to their arm action, I'm pretty happy with that. Yeah, like, at my population, like I'm bullied same arm, same leg out of them on day one. So if I was working with a younger athlete and they were really struggling with that, I'd just get them their hands on hips until they got really comfortable and confident with the pattern, and then we bring their arm action and gradually expose them to it. It's not a problem I have with my guys. I'll get you guys to come back down this end. That's all the age drilling, that's the progressions, that's pretty much the only age drilling I'll ever do. It doesn't go much further than that. We might fiddle around with holding onto an implement with something, turning your upper body on something, but you don't need much more than that, because we're just generally, it's sort of GPP for running. Okay, we're just strengthening those key conditions, specific strength qualities, and it's all, at the end of the day, pretty much just a warm-up to get ready to run really fast. Next part here, we're going to focus on swing leg retraction. So that's sort of that pullback action at the hip. Your traditional Jared Mark sprint drills, which is your A's, B's and C's, he always had your B skip, alright, which you had in our warm-up. I don't really like this drill. I don't really think it's got that time pressure, or you can't compete on it, you can't make it more difficult. So for me, I like scissor running, which is basically taking that end range position of late swing and drawing back, and I can do that and I can get the boys to compete, because we can do scissor run races. Okay? So we're going to do some scissor running here. The setup for this, we want to be nice and stacked through our chunk. Common mistakes are either leaning too far forward or too far back. I want to slide back in the knee, try to replicate big stance and running here. Dorsiflex ankle, alright, and it's a rip down and back action. So probably not the best demo for you guys because you don't see it side on, but for the rest of us here, it's just going to look like this. And we're going to build speed as we go. I'll get you guys to work to me here over 15 metres to begin with. Alright, and you're just feeling your way through it on your first rep. Off you go. Eyes up, looking up over the horizon. Good, build your speed. Don't pull up early. Good. Alright, just stay there for me. Is that enough? One more back down. Yeah, just need to make sure you follow all the way through so the next guy doesn't feel you on the way. This time, actually, let's go back down that end for this one. Same drill, but like everything here, we're trying to focus on some way of overloading or providing intention. We want you to compete. So now, you have to maintain that scissor action, but it's a race. Okay, Brendan, you're better at this. So we're going when you want to go, and you just got to try and run him down. Yeah, you just whenever you're ready. Whoa, I don't know, where are you going? Off we go. I love that, look at that. Good, there you go. Follow all the way through. We'll go 3 up here. Good, there's always one bloke left over and he deliberately hangs in the back so he doesn't have to compete. Okay, so again, it's just trying to find ways to overload and provide some competition so they're actually engaged and getting something out of that. Because I can do scissors runs all day and they're not going to get anything out of it. We're done with scissors, I'll only ever really do 2 or 3 of them. We'll come back down this end though, yep, sorry. Next one here, so your A stuff, that's all based around your hip block, ankle stiffness type stuff. That one there is more a swing leg retraction type exercise, that pullback action, using the posterior chain. The last bit of drilling we'll do here before, see how we go for time, will be more based around the pendulum action of the leg. This is more max velocity. This is about shortening that recovery leg, shortening the lever. The shorter you make that lever, the faster you can recover your leg back through. Okay, so what we're going to do here is a C run or like a high knee or over the knee dribble bleed. There's all sorts of different names for it. I don't really care. The only thing I'll say is traditionally I see a lot of dribbles get done. I've done it in the past. I've gotten rid of ankle and calf dribbles. I think they're a waste of time for performance because at the end of the day, when you do a dribble bleed, the most important part is when you step up and over the knee at the end, which is the point where you stop looking and no one cares what's happening. So for me, I always start straight away up and over the knee. So what we're looking for here, think about which of these cues might connect with you. I want you to think about running up and over long grass, stepping up and over the opposite knee, picking your foot as high as you can towards your glute before cycling out, riding a bike. Pick something there that sticks, and what we're going to do is work through gears. We're going to work to 15 metres. First gear is walking pace, second gear, jogging pace, third gear, running pace. But at those speeds, we are going to maintain that cyclical action, all right? Heel to bum, cycle out, heel to bum, cycle out. If you're good at this and you're feeling all right, try and focus on a flat foot contact so that you've got really good ankle dorsiflexion. Okay, that'll force you to whip down underneath yourself a little bit faster, get better swing ankle traction. Okay, and if you're feeling a bit uncomfortable, don't worry too much about that. On you, off you go. Good, change gears a little quicker. Good. Keep going, keep going, keep going. That's a really nice demo there. We're going to walk back recovery. Alright, so this drill, how am I going to layer some competition or attention or make it more difficult? What I'm going to do here with this drill, we won't do it today, but that's where I'm going to start to play around with upper body disassociation, changing what our upper body's doing. So I might set up 2 agility poles. I can't stick them in the concrete, so that's not going to work. Stick up a gate, broomstick on the back. You have to rotate so that you fit through the gate, okay? So you get to the gate, you're going to rotate to fit through it. Get to the gate, you're going to rotate to fit through it. Okay, so there's a risk of failure, there's a challenge point. But for today, let's just have another go at that. Try and get that flat foot contact. I want you to bounce as possible. Think bouncing this time. You've got the pattern, bounce, off you go. Bounce, 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 bounce. Build, 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 build. Build, 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 build. Yeah, beautiful, cool. Right, for most athletes, that's all my drilling. Off you go, the sports scientist has written out the list of who needs to run fast today. So I'll say, all right, Brendo, you need to give me 2 20-metre flies at 85 to 90%, because that's going to get us to that sort of target for very high speed and sprint running that's important for that individual. However, I coach the Ferraris and the Broncos, the blokes that I really care about, the guys who win us games. They're going to do more advanced stuff because they're generally lighter, okay, so they can handle more advanced plyometrics and whatnot. So they're going to be the ones that I give a little bit of extra attention to. And they're going to do some speed bounding. Can I get a show of hands, anyone who's ever heard of a speed bound index? Cool, alright, so we all know what bounding is, right? One way to the other. We know about bounding for height and bounding for distance, which is an outcome measure. What we really want to do though is find something where we can add a velocity component, a stride length component, and compete and score it. So what I'm going to do here to begin with, we'll do a little warm up. We'll just do some rhythmical bounds. Give yourself 2 metres behind the line, so walk into the line. And when you get to the line, I just want to see you go through a bit of a rhythmical, smooth, easy bound. Alright? Bounding for height and distance. Taking off like you're chasing the harbour bridge. Okay, work for 15 metres on that one for me. I'm not going to coach this too much, I just want to see you warming yourselves up and feeling ready to bound. Your knee good for this, bro? Yeah. Good, off you go. Nice smooth rhythmical bounce to 15 metres. Feel off and walk back down when you get to the end. Or head back down when you get to the end. Good. You're feeling warm? Incorrect answer. Feeling warm. Might be worth, if you want, just filtering down to this end, because you might be able to see some stuff on the TV that's interesting. Just don't take any pictures of that one for me though. I'll get you guys down the end, you just come down here. The TV is going to become relevant here.
Nathan, you're doing 2 reps of each of these variations.
Generally. It depends on the group, what they need more of. So we'll divvy them up into groups where my more advanced athletes will do less reps of the basic drilling because I'm comfortable that they're good at it and I want to get to speed bounding quickly. Whereas my less advanced athletes are going to do more reps of the basic stuff. Just stay down the end there. Righto, we're going one at a time here. You have to start 2 feet behind the line. 2 feet behind the line. You're working to me here, which is 5, 10, 15 metres. I want you to bound for distance and speed. Okay? For distance and speed. One at a time here. On you. I've got a stopwatch here. I'm as reliable as GPS and timing gates. Just one at a time. Off you go. 6, 7, 8, 9. Alright, so I'm counting, just hold there. I counted 9 steps. It's pretty easy to count the steps. And we had 3.47 seconds, which gives him a speed bound index of 44.1. The lower your score, the better. Brenda, on you, lad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.5, I'm going to call that. And he's 3 seconds flat. 42.5. Next man up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to call that 8, alright? I'll round it to the best 0.75, alright? 2.867, 8. These are all, oh, hang on. I've got 17, 15 minutes. There we go, this score's done, just a bit better. Next man up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.5. Right, say 7.5. Next man up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so what we've done there is we've created a competition, okay? These players are unfamiliar and it's new to them, so they're shit at it. But if we do this week in, week out, they get good, okay? It's something they can compete on without doing, I think you said you might have made a mistake at one point, Lockie, where you got guys to race. I would love to be able to race my guys. That is the most potent and specific stimulus that's going to drive them to adapt and become fast. But I would snap so many guys shit up if I did that all the time. So what I do instead is I try and find something that's just that step below it, where they can bring maximal intent and effort and compete and try and improve week on week, and it is a bit safer, alright? I haven't had anyone hurt themselves doing this yet, but it's something that we can do quite regularly. So all my Ferraris are doing the speed bound index weekly, okay? So generally what I would do is give them 2 reps of just like a rhythmical band to warm up, and then we would do 20 metre speed bounds. The way this is calculated is slightly different in my cohort. I don't use a stopwatch with my boys. What I do instead, for the sports scientists there, they give me their max velocity from GPS. I count the steps, bang it into the spreadsheet, and they get a score. The lower the score, the better. This is a real example of my 10 Ferraris. I won't tell you who's who. And here are some benchmarks. I've got to give credit to Damien Marsh at the Queensland Reds. He taught me about this stuff, and he got it from Dan Benson. So, not my stuff. In fact, none of the stuff you see today belongs to me. I stole it and brought it together. That's kind of where I'm at, starting to bring this stuff together and develop like a system and a program. How are we going for time?
You could keep going.
Keep going? Cool.
Yeah,
I want to do a couple of back cells here to finish off. Yeah, so there's 2 different ways of calculating this. I should have explained what the formula is. That's the formula. So let me unpack that for you. It just said if I don't put data in, I just want to explain. Basically, what you've got here is average velocity. Okay, so distance divided by time times by number of steps. That's for your stopwatch. or timing gates. Okay? So the benchmarks that I show you are different. They're not the same for stopwatches as they are GPS. Okay? Average velocity times steps. And then for the GPS derived, what you're looking for, now I've copy and pasted that across. Yeah, so, because I took the name down. The equation for that one is max velocity divided by the distance, because obviously if you do it over a longer distance, you will achieve a higher velocity. So it's basically like meters per second per meter times by number of steps. All right. I think that's right. Pretty confident on that. And then those are your benchmarks for GPS. I don't have benchmarks for the stopwatch one because I don't do it, but I'm sure you figure it out.
Have you ever done this for a recap?
No, I reckon. Well, what I do is I film every rep of this. It's pretty easy to do. You just go, and that way I can, if anyone debates me on how many steps there are, yeah, that's showing you it's made. But also what I can do is I can actually visually look at asymmetry. So I've got a couple of players that have like a power stroke and like a rhythm stroke when they do it. Yeah. So that becomes a coaching element for me where I'll go, hey, this is something I picked up on video, show it to them, and then they can drive an intervention. And I might just be a technical thing where we just ask them to change their strategy. Good question. Any questions on this one?
Do you take into account height?
Do you take into account height? No, I don't. Because I don't need to take into account height when they're playing a game of football. If you're fast, you're fast. If you're slow, you're slow. But it's a good question. Generally, longer-limbed athletes are going to be better at this, but they're probably, like for like, going to be faster too. So it just is what it is. Yeah, good question.
Is this anecdotal? Can you find the research?
Is this anecdotal or is there research to back this up? This stuff originally came from Gum. AIS guy? What's his first name? RSI guy. Warren Young. Warren Young invented this a million years ago. So it's been around for ages. But I haven't seen it done a lot, and I haven't seen it done well often. Which is why I'm going to give credit to Damien Marsh at the Queensland Reds. He does this week in, week out. I saw it, I thought it was awesome. Right, so we had like a little bit of a 5-minute break there, so we're going to go back to the start of the warm up again. Let's get you going again. Should run fast, got the tailwind going here. What we're going to look for here is just some of the stuff we might coach and cue when we're actually watching the running game over a short sprint acceleration. Now, doing a sprint acceleration in this environment is very different to anything that happens on a rugby league or most field sport fields, to be honest. It's never really the case that you get a 2-point standing start looking for maximum sprint acceleration. However, what this does provide an opportunity to do is overload. So I see arguments about specificity and overload all the time, and what we all as coaches need to understand, and this is probably a guiding principle behind a lot of my decision making and how I design my program, is that there is an inverse relationship between specificity and overload. The more specific something is, the less you can overload it. Alright, so if we want to, the most specific thing for rugby league is to play rugby league. Okay, if that was your approach to training, you wouldn't get very far because there's no overload. You're just doing the thing, which is why we have general physical preparation, and that allows you to overload elements of your training to make them better and provide a stimulus that's separate from the game. Which is why I like to separate our speed and make it quite general in nature. We don't do a heap of specific fancy stuff. It's often just, we're going to run fast, okay? That's the specific stimulus that's going to provide overload to make your players better. And this is why I think it's really important you never go full bosh. You need to make sure that you keep your simple stuff simple. Like Lockie mentioned before, where's he disappeared to? Had to go sit down, he's tired. I know he is. Lockie mentioned before, sort of bookending components of your training. So we really want that maximal element at the far end. And that's why you need to do hard sprint accelerations and open max velocity sprinting. What we'll have a look at here, you guys signed your waivers, didn't you? Yeah, so hammies are your fault now. We'll just go 10 metres here. Some coaching tips, I suppose. The distance that you want someone to sprint over, you probably need to be that far back to get a good perspective on what they're doing. Okay, so this is not really a good environment for me to coach them over a 10-metre sprint because I can't get 10 metres back that way. If I want someone to run 40, I'm probably standing 40 metres back. So I can take it all in and give them good feedback. But we'll make the most of it. We're going to go one at a time here. We're looking for a sprint over 10 metres. We're just going to do a 2-point standing start. I just want to see how you move on your own. And then run a little bit and shut down. So one at a time. That's it. Hang on. What do you guys think? What are you guys seeing there? So what you do, over-rotation, popped up? Yep, okay. Does everyone know what over-rotation means, or what Alan was sort of speaking about there? So his hips have come up and he's got into an upright position quite early, okay? He's probably not giving himself a chance to drive as long and as far as we'd like to see. So on your next rep, what I want you to try and do is just let yourself fall, okay? Just try that as a cue and see if that works. You might experiment with a different cue later. That's just when you next rep, just feel yourself falling step to step. Okay? Alright, that was sexy, you got nothing for you? Okay, someone other than Alan, Gino, you coach speed for a living. What do you see there? Bit short and choppy. It's great speed. I'd agree with that. I think you're probably spinning your wheels a little bit. So, in terms of the three things that I mentioned that I look for in the view motion stuff, body lean. So body lean feeds into that over-rotation. So I just say, I need to focus on that body lean. So keep forward, forward. Second one that I was talking to me about is that thigh split, that thigh separation, right? I want you to feel those thighs separating extra. And try to create space between these. Who wants to have a crack at some feedback there? Lockie, what do you got?
I think not much football session over there, very, very smooth in transition, but there's no pressure, no fucking.
Yeah, that's exactly what the strength and power coach would say. But I 100% agree. I reckon it's probably just not violent enough. Like, bring your teeth, get angry on the next rep. Like, sometimes it's just an intent thing. Like, my next move, you probably need to see it more intent to actually be able to know if there's a technique you need to focus on. So on your next rep, when you try and put your ankle against the leg. Cool, I'll have a go at that one. There's a lot to like about that. Maybe just a little bit boundy for me. I think maybe just a little bit boundy, like. So speak about body leaning, speak about thigh split, and then I talk about the piston action of the legs. Probably try and be a bit more aggressive with that right now. Attack the ground for me. Okay, so you've all had a chance to sort of get a cue or something to focus on. Is that you? Is it perfect? Let's try again. Yeah, righto, so that time better body lean. I almost think you're over-exaggerating those thigh splits now for me. Yeah. Okay. Bit boundy. Without spinning your wheels, right, just get a little more frequency there, right? You don't need to be overly choppy, just find the ground, try to find the ground. Just naturally find the ground. Okay? Yeah, so Brendan's like really nicely put together. That'd be, to be honest, mate, like from a technical perspective, there's probably nothing there that in a team sport setting, the players I work with, I don't think I would give many coaching tips. Because I'm just going to overcomplicate things and make it more cognitive and more forebrain than it needs to be. Like for you, all we're going to focus on is intent and competition, keep you robust and resilient, and just try and like eke out performance components just based on training hard. Alright? So just keep doing what you're doing, mate. It's really good. But that could be a tricky one. Like I've got players who are really they want feedback on stuff. And what I've found is sometimes I'll tell them something and it makes them worse, and it doesn't make it better in the long run either. It just makes it worse. Alright, sprinting is a high brain activity. I think that's right. It's the sort of thing that comes to us naturally, right? You don't need to be taught or coached on how to run. It's not like hitting a golf ball. Golf ball, alright, that's a skill that when you've never done it before, you can only ever get better at it. Okay? From day one, you suck, and you only ever get better at hitting a golf ball until you get really old. Alright? But running, because it is so driven evolutionarily, if that's a word, into how we have developed as people, I can actually make you worse at sprinting through my coaching, through cues, through things I give you. So if someone's well put together, generally, I tend not to say much. I just manipulate constraints and find ways to drive the competition. Who's up next? What was your cue again? What are we focusing on? Bigger thigh splits. Good, yeah, okay. So, bigger thigh splits wasn't really a great cue, so let's think about a cue. I want you to imagine that, so all sorts of different options here. We could imagine trying to punch our knees through a wall. We could imagine if we've got tape connecting our legs together, we can snap the tape. Okay? Think about something like that. And get those thighs separated over 10 minutes. Here we go. Better. That's better. I still think that that's a cue that we would keep working with for you. Like, I reckon we could, mate, that might be a work on, in my environment, that could be a work on for your whole career. That could be the thing we keep focusing on. I think that's a good cue for you, okay? We want bigger thigh splits, we want bigger separation. The importance of that thigh split is the more range of motion we get between the thighs, the more space we then have to accelerate that foot back down towards the ground. Gives us time to get in a position where we can maximise that thigh angular velocity. Alright, and thigh angular velocity leads to greater ground reaction forces towards the ground. Snap your hands. There we go. Good. Okay, so starting to get a bit more intent and like drive out of the blocks. Next thing for you would be to put some spikes on or something like that, get a bit more out of it. But what I noticed with your running gait there in particular was probably a lack of like stiffness through your trunk. There's kind of a bit of the shoulder roll going on for me. I reckon a lot of that probably comes back to, as Lockie mentioned, that strength, those strength and power qualities. So for me, that trunk strength would be a big component for you. Stuff like we had on the wall here. If memory serves me correct, you face planted about 15 times doing that. So what that shows me is you're probably lacking that trunk integrity and that strength through here to keep you in a stable, locked in position. If your shoulders are really exaggerated in their roll, that probably shows me that your pelvis is quite exaggerated in its roll as well. And what we don't have is like that stable foundation from which we can produce force. It's like trying to shoot a cannon when you're in a canoe. That boat's not in a position to provide stability. So more of that trunk stuff. I'll probably step back some regressions that we can go to. For that particular drill is just a single contact type variations where we're just coming straight up and overhead. That would be my starting point. Lots of that sort of stuff, okay? That would be a big component of your prep. What I do in my settings, if I find an athlete who needs extra work, they'll do like a third round on the particular exercise they need to get better at in their speed prep. Okay, so start on that drill, and then once you've done your rounds, go back and do it one more time, just to find a little bit extra work there.
The cycle quicker instead of that.
Yeah, okay, yep, just spin a little bit more. Let's see, big road run, the road run outside. Yep, I think that's a little better. How did you find that P&F stretch that we did?
It was okay. I didn't find it fine.
Who was stretching?
It wasn't great.
How was your range of motion?
Oh, that's stiff. I reckon.
Stiff is exactly how I would describe your strength. So what I saw there was, in his gait there, what I noticed was he kind of really struggled to pick his feet up. Did anyone sort of notice that? It was kind of like he was tripping over himself a little bit. Did anyone else kind of see that? For me, that comes back to that inability to maintain that neutral pelvis while that knee is flexing. I reckon you're quite tight through the knee, that distal end of your rib fin. So that would be a big one for you. I would add in some extra static stretching. Extra deep, extra access to those positions. So it's not always about coaching cue. It's like, I can't cue you into a position you can't even get into. So let's think, take a step back, sub qualities and underneath speed, point mobility, that'd be a big one. Cool. Good. I reckon that's getting pretty close to like, let's just compete, let's drive intent. Anyone see something there? Good. What do you see there? What would you coach there? Yep. Yeah, in what aspect of that? So like again, sorry? Yeah, so you'd like to see him recover a little bit higher or yeah, so almost like they talk about like the Jamaican toe drag, right? Which is, I don't know if you should actually do it, but that intention to sort of just leave that foot there a little bit, scrape the grass all the way through, or what big cue that you might use there? Cut through your ankle. Yeah, that could be a good cue. You hear that? Cut through your ankle. So bring that ankle through your other ankle, cut through it. That's a good cue. I've stolen that. I'm going to have that in my system. I'm going to have a whole slide. Alright, who's next? We've all done two. Alright. Now we go for time. Yeah, cool. Alright. First of all, round of applause for our participants. Probably a couple of minutes for any follow-up questions or anything else.
With your rotations through like your prep sequence, are you as a coach like floating between three? Are you giving them like a simple one that you know they can nail, and then like focus on like the more nuanced ones? What's your sort of takes on planning?
The context of everything I've just shown you is that I'm one of 4 S&Cs in my department, and I sit down with the group and I say, these are the drills, and Tom, you're coaching this today. This is what we're looking for. Here's the cues. We go through it, and then I can just focus on one. That also feeds into what happens on the field. So like I mentioned, I take Ferraris. I've only got 10 guys on the field. We've got a squad of up to 40 players that train trials pre-season. I can't manage that group. That would just be babysitting. So as a coach, I know we're not always in an environment where we can do it, but try and find strategies or ways to get your numbers down. It's essential, okay? You never want to get caught in a situation where you've got 30 athletes at once. Find a way to work with your skills coach to have a rotation so you can flip, okay? So a big one that we'll have is, if we're low on coaches for some reason, we'll have the football coaches. I'll get those guys to run some basic core skills that the players don't need to be super warm for and isn't super taxing. So I've immediately cut the numbers in half right there, and then there might be 2 of us that we can take the rest of the squad. Like, you've got to get your squad numbers, your player numbers down. I mentioned him twice already. Dean Benton taught me that. You've got to find a way to get your numbers down. Be inventive. Waterfall players. Never let them bull rush you. You can't have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 athletes on you once. No one can coach that. Alright, doesn't matter how good you are. So you need to find a way to manage your numbers so that you can actually be a coach. And then you can coach it hard. Like, that's a big thing that we value in the Broncos. Everything that we deliver content-wise, we coach it hard. It's never just exercise prescription and let's go. It's always about having an intention, outcome that we're working towards, a cue that's a big bedrock for us on that exercise. And if someone isn't doing it, we're hammering them. We're into it. We need you to do this, okay? Just without that intent behind it, like, we're just entertaining. Like, we've got to have something that's driving towards the KPI that's going to make it better. Good question, mate.
I want to give accelerations because I know like last format players got more exposures, cycle game, things like that.
Yep.
So you kind of have to manipulate the speed day. Sometimes you might get 5 or 6 times going for top up. How do you adjust the session based on that time?
So when we say how long your acceleration
yeah.
to the distance you're accelerating.
Yeah, you change that for an individual based off what they're getting outside.
Yeah, no, I'm not telling that. No, so generally what we'll do is is, at the moment, we've got an acceleration and agility day that's combined. On that day, we do resistance speed work, and we're contrasting that with 10-metre accelerations. The thing about acceleration and agility work is if you keep it tight enough, you don't have to manage it as closely, I feel. I think you can do it with a bit more competition and intent without having to sort of micromanage exactly how many reps everyone's doing. It allows me to flow a little bit more with that stuff, whereas once I've got guys opening up and running fast, then we've got an individual player-by-player list of exactly what content they're doing on that day. But yeah, like at the moment, generally just sprint acceleration over 10 meters. In season, I don't really do a lot of acceleration. As you know, like rugby league acceleration-based game, as Lockie mentioned, like short accels are like, they're like this to an netball player in rugby league, like this.
Yeah.
So that's that rugby
Very
league.
good question. So with the max velocity stuff, like what percentage roughly would you say in pre-season when you're doing the high speed running? Would you ever put that max off of that? What's the change between?
So Graham's question there, if you didn't hear it, was what percentage of our players are actually getting exposed in the speed block to fast running at the end of the speed session? That's proprietary information. Honestly, like that's the very fine detail that I think defines how we do things in our program. Generally, I reckon probably about half the guys end up needing something at the back end of the session. In season, it's very dependent on our turnaround in the week. We might have one or two guys who need like a 90 plus exposure at the back end of speed, or a short turnaround, they all ran fast in the game. We might have a game where it was a real arm wrestle and no one really opened up in the game. We might have 80% of the squad who need to run fast. Our sports scientist, our head of performance and myself, we spend a lot of time focusing on that because trying to make sure that we keep we focus a lot on very high speed running, so above 7 meters per second. A lot of people talk about high speed running, which is sort of 5.5, depending on which GPS units you look at or whatever. I don't really care about that. Like to me, no one snaps their hammy doing an MAS run generally. No one snaps their hammy jogging at 5.5, 6 meters per second. They hurt themselves being intent running fast. You can hurt yourself with high speed running if it's curvy linear or with high arousal, running an arc, things like that. It can happen there, but it's really that real open, fast running that's the stuff that we manage very closely. Yeah. Good question.
Just got a two-part. Firstly, would you do that warm-up before every competition or just your sprint?
No, just speed days. Yeah, so that there is like our linear speed day warm-up, essentially. And then our axle agility day, that's the presentation.
And before someone who's more like grassroots kind of level, because they might have access to a gym before their training session, would you just go and down and switch the speed and other stuff? Or
try and find a way to do something like that.
yeah.
You can get hurdle, like hard sport, do a hurdle.
Yeah.
Sorry, I mentioned. I do like it. So we've got these like real like light movable ones, they're pretty cheap. They fall over and bounce back and like those. Get yourself set those so you can do some stuff like that. Use the fence, like a very cricket ground, use a goalpost. One progression that I'll often go to for the guys who are good with this, if you turn around over here, we can do it at the gym as prep, but you can also do it on a goalpost. This is a bit more advanced, so you've got the two taps that you use with like an arrow target, so like that's pretty advanced. The theory is that's cool stuff. You can do that on a goalpost and you can telegraph the pole, like just make sure you've got access to increase seconds, increase up perspective. Say sorry? Increase seconds, not increase seconds. Yeah, like obviously you don't actually look at the face plan, yeah, so you're goal player, but like there's going to be some of the line, because like I said, you do this for a million years, it's not going to make it better or anything. So try and find stuff where it drives a KPI that's related to an outcome in the game, and then find a way for there to be intent behind it.
You mentioned your resistant work and your acceleration. What type of stuff do you like with resistance?
What's our resistance?
Yeah,
Speed,
what do you really like?
yeah, so the question there was about resistant sprint training. I try and work up to, like I've got a little protocol that I use, we try and build up to it. I call it a 4-2-2-4. And I'm trying to work between sort of 50 to 80% of body weight on the sled, or using a band, or whatever it is. We're trying to look for about a 50% velocity decrement in our resisted speed work. That's where they sort of theoretically say peak power occurs in resisted sprint training. Just because that's where peak power occurs doesn't necessarily mean it's the best stimulus, but it is a good area to generally target. So I'll do 4 10-meter resisted sprints, 2 unresisted, 2 10-meter resisted sprints, 4 unresisted. That's like the end stage progression in that 4-2-2-4 protocol. And that might start off with like a 2-1-1-2. And we build the reps up week on week. You might start like a 50% body weight on the sled. It all depends. Like if you get down there, it's dewy. So, put an extra bit of weight on the sled, or it's dry, the grass is long. Like, there's a little bit of just like going with the flow a bit with it. But yeah, like kind of trying to start off with a slightly lower resistance so you can adapt to it, and then build it up to a resistance where you get to that 50% velocity decrement, which is essentially if they run a 10 meter in 1.8 seconds, you're looking for 3.6 seconds over that 10 with the resistance there. That's like a general guideline. Good question. Is there one other thing you know that hand or something like that? Do I use view motion weekly? We did last season. I've now got a heap of data on all my plate. No, it's actually, that's the Broncos, we got money. But to be honest, week in, week out, it wasn't telling me things that changed what I was doing week in, week out. So once I've got a good capture from everyone, and I really know what their movement strategy is, I can then sort of go, okay, well this is your strength, this is your weakness. We need to have an intervention that's going to fix, for lack of a better term, the things that hold you back, your rate limiting factor. We'll deliver that intervention, and maybe in 6-8 weeks, we'll get another capture and see if it works. Do we use view motion in rehab? Not really, to be honest. Yeah, to be honest, it's not really going to change what we do. Like, we kind of know if they're good at asymmetry. Once they're back in training, we'll get a view motion capture. If there's still something showing up, like, probably not really going to stop us from putting someone back in. Because every injury leaves a legacy and it's long lasting. We're always going to be trying to remove that, but you'll have players out of asymmetries for years straight and still don't get hurt. So it's not a big thing in our rehab because I find too with view motion, you want good intent behind it. Unless they're able to give you a proper like 85-90% effort, probably not really that valuable. So if they're in rehab, they probably can't produce that for me. So yeah, we probably rely a little bit more on our coaching eye. We'll look at video, but we're probably not running it through view motion that much yet. Good question though.
If there's any other questions for Nate, we'll grab him in the lunch break, but Nate's done really